YouTubians! This week, we're talking about dragons! I love dragons. I always have. I love fantasy art and the whole genre. Unfortunately, it doesn't get a lot of respect from the broader fine arts community. It's sort of, it's just pornographic nonsense. It's populist drivel. And there's something to be said for that. There's a lot of bad fantasy art out there. But to be fair, there's a lot of bad art out there in general, so why pick on one genre? I also think that they're missing an important part of fantasy art, something that other branches don't do nearly as well. And that is that good fantasy art, great fantasy art, inspires the imagination. It takes an incredibly skilled artist to take something that never was and never could be and make it look real. To make someone believe for a moment that the world isn't as it is or wasn't as it was. So my project this week that I'm going to talk about are my dragons. I've made several of these, and as always, it should be going on up there. Onto the building, which is what I think you're actually here to watch, rather than me rant about the state of the art community. To start, you need bones, and bones are mostly found on the insides of animals, which are usually reluctant to give them up just on asking. So how I get them is I buy them in chicken and quail and turkey form, and then eat delicious dinners, which then I find glorious surprises inside in the form of art projects. Once I have the bones roughly out of my dinner, I strip the remaining flesh and fat off of them, which is done in the same way as you'd make soup stock, only using dish detergent as seasoning. Just a note, if you're going to try this yourself, make sure you use dishwasher detergent, not the liquid detergent that you might use in your sink that will foam up and create a horrible, smelly, disgusting, frothy mess. With the bones cleaned, they need to be dried, and once dried, they need to be bleached, and once bleached, they need to be dried again, assuming you used a liquid bleaching agent like peroxide. And then you can start to assemble them. How I assemble them is I have a pin vise, which is a tiny little holder for tiny little drills, and I drill out the center of each bone and string a wire through for strength. And then I glue the bones onto that wire and assemble it all as like building a puzzle, only without having the lid, so you don't know what it's going to look like at the end. You usually have to start with the neck and spine, because those sort of dictate the size of the dragon. You have to go based on, well, the ribs and the spine are sort of my limiting factors. Once I've got those worked out, I can figure out how long the tail should look, and how long the arms and legs should be, and how big the wings should be. Once the whole skeleton is built, only then do I work on the head, because the head I have complete control over, but it also takes the most work, because I have to craft those by hand. I start with a polymer clay, which I then sculpt by hand, and bake it, and clean it up afterwards with a rotary tool, and I paint it to match the skeleton, which is a challenge because paint reacts differently to different lighting conditions than the bones will. So while I'll get the paint to look perfect in one set of light, bring it out into sunlight, it'll look different, put it under incandescent light, it'll look different again. So that's a bit of a challenge. But with all of that, I can then strap it into its case. I try to mount it at as many points as possible to keep it from moving around, because they really aren't that strong. And that's about it. Thank you again for watching. Those are my dragons. If you want to see more of my work, head to dragonsmitharmory.com, or you can like us on Facebook. Also, comments below if you want to see more projects, and give me comments and suggestions. Thank you very much.